Hey y'all, Lainey here at Drum Percussion Studio. Really excited about our topic for today. So what we're going to be diving into today are paradiddles. Now paradiddles are one of my favorite rudiments of all time. I was introduced to them early on and I just fell in love. They're really, really great. Basically, you get to work on your double stroke technique and your single stroke technique. You can play them along with recordings. There's a lot of different applications. They're really, really, really useful on drum set. You can use them on marimba, hand drumming, pretty much anywhere. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. In this video, we're going to define what a paradiddle is. We're going to kind of break it down, discuss the importance of playing singles followed right by double strokes. And then we're also going to talk about some variations. So I've got a couple variations written up here, a double paradiddle and a triple paradiddle, and then I've got another one down here behind me that's going to be the paradiddlediddle, okay? So these are going to be really, really fun to play. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today is just kind of how to start practicing these things, and then I think the best way for you to really apply them is to just go and to just work on them, whether with the metronome or with a recording of a current artists that you like to listen to. I think those are going to be two of the best ways to apply some of this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and dive on in. So at its core, a paradiddle is basically 16th note based, and we are going to be using a single followed by a double. Now the first note is going to be accented. So very, very important to remember that when you're playing this accent that these should not be accented as well. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. We're just going to play it really, really slow. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Hopefully you can hear that the first note is the only one that is accented. Everything else is consistently quiet, okay? Now, the way I was just playing it, I was stroking every single double stroke out, okay? I was using all wrist. What I'm going to be using as I increase my tempo is a double stroke technique, and when I talk about that in another video about double strokes, go check that out if you're interested in learning more about dropping and catching the stick with your fingers in order to increase your speed on paradiddles, okay? So, if I'm going to speed it up a little bit, you may see that my fingers are going to get a little bit involved on that double stroke on the second half of the beat. So it's almost like my wrist and my fingers are working together. My wrist is providing the momentum for the accent, and then my fingers are really providing the clarity on the double strokes. Okay, so once you start to increase your tempo, you may need some of that finger technique. Go check out that double stroke video. It will explain all about how to use that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to work on this. If you feel like your double strokes are not quite where they need to be, or if you feel like you just don't really understand, a great thing to do is to isolate your hands, okay? So you can either play on two surfaces, or you can play one hand on your leg, one hand on the pad or the drum. Just make sure you don't hit your leg too hard, right? Now, if I'm going to play that with a metronome, let's see, we'll go 70. I'm going to put the subdivision on 16th notes because that's what we're playing, right? 16th notes. All right, so now I'm going to play it for you with the metronome. I'm going to play one hand on my leg and one hand on the drum. 2, and here I go, and single, double. Single, double, paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Okay, now I'm going to switch, put my left hand on the pad, 2, and here I go, and single, double, paradiddle, single, double. There you go. So that's the basic paradiddle. Now I'm going to play it on the two different. I just played that for you a second ago, but I'm going to play it with the snares on, just so you can hear. 2, and ready, and go, and. So that's a paradiddle kind of at its core, right? That's the basic approach to a paradiddle. So work on those. Again, pull up a recording, a playlist on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Music, whatever you like to, whatever platform you like to use. Find a recording or a band or an album and just throw them on and just try to play paradiddles. You can play them in half time, you can play them in double time, any way that you want to do it. Just That's the best way to practice. That way your ears aren't getting tired of just hearing 16th notes, and it's also a little bit more fun to play it that way. So I would recommend checking that out in order to apply some of this stuff. All right, let's keep on moving forward. So we're going to talk about some variations of paradiddles, okay? Now you'll notice that on the board here, I've written them in different time signatures. That's on purpose, right? So the first one I wrote in 2/4. The second one is going to be in 6/8. The reason being that it is really a triple-based version of a paradiddle, okay? So I wrote it in 6/8 just so that you can feel the pulse a little bit differently, and I'm going to play it for you with the metronome actually on triplets. So if you haven't gotten this far in your studies, that's totally cool. You'll be able to hear how it sounds. But essentially, we're going to be counting, come on, there we go, in triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The accent is going to fall on 1 and 4. So 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you'll find that you're going to have to play this version of a paradiddle rather slow, just because once you get faster, it's really, really hard to do. So let's talk about what this double paradiddle is, right? So basically what you're doing is you're adding another single in between the first single and the double. So you're extending, almost stretching this paradiddle out and making it longer. Again, so that you can apply it to triple meter stuff, compound meter phrases or pieces, okay? So it's basically going to go single, single, double, single, single, double. Now you're still going to be alternating the accents, right? It's not just going to be all off the right hand or all off the left hand. It's still going to alternate so that both of your hands are going to be getting a workout. So I'll play it for you one more time. Again, we're in 6/8, which you would count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should hear the accent falling on 1 and 4. Again, that's where the accent is also going to fall within the rudiment. All right, here's the double paradiddle. Ready, and go, and single, single, double, single, single, double, single, single, double, single, single, double, single, single, double. Ready, and stop. Now, I had a student come in the other day, and we were working on paradiddles, and she had been playing along with a John Mayer tune that was in 6/8. So she was trying to do single paradiddles with this John Mayer tune. This is a great way to continue to work on your paradiddles in a song that it doesn't really work with just playing singles. So if you're playing along with a song and you feel like your paradiddles are not lining up with where the snare drum is hitting on 2 and 4, then maybe consider trying a double paradiddle and see if it lines up a little bit better. A lot of times when you hear a song, a pop tune that's in 6/8, the snare drum is going to fall on this beat 4 where your left hand is also going to be playing. So if you feel like it's not really lining up, try out the double paradiddle. Again, it's just an extension of that regular paradiddle, and it should work within the context of whatever chart you're trying to play along with. Okay, so that's the double paradiddle. Typically in like rudimental drumming, that's going to be both the double and the triple will be spread across bar lines. So I've got a book up here somewhere, yeah, here it is, that I'm going to show you some examples where basically the composer has written these stickings to go over 2 to 3 measures, okay? And it's just so that you can practice, again, these rudiments within the context of a piece. So that's why they have done that in that way. So now let's talk about the triple paradiddle. Now with the triple paradiddle, I've got to go back to 16th notes. So you're going to have to do a lot of work with your metronome if you're practicing all of these together, going from duple to triple. But the triple paradiddle is actually going to be felt in duple time. So I've written it in 4/4, and essentially you're going to be playing 3 singles, 1 double. Okay, so now we're dividing into groups of 4, and I've written it down here as 16th notes. 1 ienda is just going to be a beat of single alternating, and then the second beat is going to be your paradiddle. Now, here is the difference between a measure of single and a measure of triple paradiddle. Notice where the accent is. The accent is at the beginning, okay? It's not on the paradiddle. So when you're seeing this in music, you can identify whether it's a triple paradiddle or a paradiddle after a single stroke based on where the triplet is. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. All right, so let's go ahead and play through this triple paradiddle. I'm going to play it nice and slow, and then I'll play it for you a little bit quicker. So here's the triple paradiddle. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right. So, single, single, double, single, 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 double, single, 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 double, single, 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 double, stop. Okay? Again, this is typically going to be found over the course of several measures. Let me go ahead and play it for you on the snare drum. Here we go. 1 and 2, and here we go. And single, 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 double, single, 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 double. Ready, and so, that's your triple paradiddle. Let's speed it up just a little bit so you can hear what it sounds like in more of a common tempo. 1 and 2, and here I go, and single, single, single. So, some things to watch out for. Thing number 1, make sure that your double strokes are not sounding different from your single strokes. Everything should sound the same. Remember, it's just a running stream of 16th notes. The only thing that's changing is your sticking. So make sure that that sticking is not affecting your playing. Now, I told you that I was going to show you some examples. I'm not going to play them for you just because I'm not quite, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time doing that. But here is an example. This is called the Pinecone Forest, and it's out of the John Pratt 14 Modern Contest Solos for Snare Drum. This is a great rudimental solo book if this is your jam. But basically, he's got several of these running 16th note lines where the sticking is going to be a double or a triple paradiddle. Okay, so modern application, this book has lots of these solos. It's just like the Wilcoxon book that I referenced earlier in the double stroke video. So check that out if double strokes and paradiddles are something that you're interested in learning about more. And talk to your teacher about getting access to some of those solos for sure. All right, last thing that we're going to talk about is the paradiddle diddle. So if you just break it apart and use your common sense, a paradiddle diddle, instead of having more singles, it's going to have an extra double on the end. So it's going to be single, double, double. Now this rudiment is not alternating. So whenever you play through it, you should not be playing it right, left, right, left, 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 right, left, left, right. Okay? It should all be on the same hand that you start. Now that does not mean not to play these on your left hand. It's very, very important that when you're working on all of these things that you're playing them starting on the right hand and on the left hand. So this is one of my favorite rudiments. We're back in 6/8. Okay, again, we're back into a grouping of 3. So make sure that you change your metronome to reflect that. But here is the paradiddle diddle. I'll play it for you really quick and then we'll jump into some work with the metronome. Paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle. And stop. Okay, so these are probably my favorite of all of the exercises that I have showed you in this video, just because they're kind of groovy. When I was marching in high school, these were used as kind of a way to build tension. So they were kind of a technique or an ornamentation that you could use within snare drum writing to build tension as the horns around you are getting louder for a really big company front or something like that. So, really, really important, especially if marching band is going to be something that you are wanting to do in the future. So I'm going to play those now on the snare drum, and I'm going to play them all off the right. I want you to practice them off the left as well, just because you never know, especially in some of these books, like the Pratt that I just showed you, sometimes he'll pull out one that you need to play on your left hand. So you got to be able to do it either way. But here is the paradiddle diddle on the snare drum. With the metronome, again making sure that you have got it on triplets. Paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle. This is a great exercise to work on if you think that double strokes needs some work, okay? So, taking what we talked about within the double stroke video and taking what we talked about within this paradiddle video, it all comes together in a paradiddle diddle. So, make sure you check those out. Again, referencing vicfirth.com for more videos. They also have play-along tracks that you can check out. And I'm pretty sure that on our YouTube playlist, Drum also has some different videos about paradiddles. So be sure to check those out when you're practicing. If you ever have any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks for watching.